Few people like to talk about the end of life, but those over 60 know that time leaves its mark not only on the body, but also on the way we see the world. Some changes are natural and predictable, while others seem almost silent, yet carry signs that shouldn't be ignored. Sylvia Browne, known for her insights into the afterlife, said that there are times when the body and spirit begin to prepare in advance. She believed that a person's last year rarely comes without warnings. And many of these signs are subtle but consistent. Understanding these signs isn't about fear, but about respecting one's own journey. They're alerts that can help to close cycles with dignity, leave important messages, and above all, allow each person to live with more awareness and peace in the days they have left. In this video, we'll talk clearly about these 7 signs and what they might represent. One of the most important signs, according to Sylvia, is the sudden increase in deep reflections on life. Many older people begin to talk frequently about the past, recalling old facts and demonstrating an almost urgent need to tell stories that have never been told. This isn't just nostalgia. It's as if the spirit senses that there's little time left and wants to leave its lessons recorded. If you're enjoying this kind of content and believe that more people should reflect on it, please subscribe to the channel and give us a like. This helps us bring this type of reflection to more people, especially those already facing this delicate moment. Continuing, another observed indication is the gradual withdrawal from daily tasks, even those that were once done with pleasure. This isn't just about tiredness, but a kind of slow detachment from the material routine. This withdrawal is often accompanied by a change in the way they sleep. Sylvia reported that many people about to pass begin to have a different kind of sleep. They sleep more during the day, have insomnia at night, or report very intense dreams with people who have already passed on. These aren't just simple nightmares or distant memories. There's a feeling of presence, as if the spirit is beginning to communicate with another plane. For some, these dreams bring peace. For others, they awaken feelings that have never been processed. It's as if the unconscious is working silently to help the soul prepare. In addition, there's a quite visible sign: the sudden loss of interest in subjects that were once important. This can include conversations, hobbies, or even social connections. The person seems to be more withdrawn, more contemplative, and less connected with the external world. Another sign pointed out by Sylvia is the increase in a feeling of lightness or detachment. Instead of being distressed by material things, the person begins to value small gestures like a sunset, a loving look, or the silence of a morning. This type of change isn't common in all older adults, so it's striking when it arises suddenly. It's as if the heart is prioritizing what really matters, setting aside what once caused stress or worry. Often, this transition goes unnoticed by family members who associate the change with a phase of discouragement or depression. But there's a clear difference between sadness and serenity, and when that serenity appears naturally, it may be another indication that the soul is concluding its journey calmly and consciously. It's also common for unexpected reconciliations to occur during this period. People who have been estranged for years re-establish contact, sometimes on impulse, other times after a dream or intuition. Sylvia said that the spirit seeks balance before leaving, and this includes trying to resolve emotional issues. These are delicate moments in which pride often gives way to forgiveness. It's as if something stronger is guiding their actions. This search for closure can also manifest in letters, phone calls, or even in simple, sincere conversations that happen out of the blue. Although these gestures seem spontaneous, for those who see beyond the physical plane, they carry great meaning. It's a way for the human being to prepare for departure, leaving less weight, less hurt, and more peace in the hearts of those who remain. The soul wants to depart in peace. There's a sign that's often ignored because it seems like just a common frailty. The light in the eyes changes. Sylvia Browne said that when the soul is almost disconnecting from the body, the eyes lose that intense presence, even when the body is still alert. It's not illness or cognitive loss. It's as if the spirit is already looking elsewhere. This vaguer, calmer look can be confused with distraction or forgetfulness, but for those who live closely with the person, it becomes clear that something has changed. It's not easy to accept this, and many families resist perceiving this sign, preferring to cling to routines and hopes. But recognizing this change isn't giving up on the person, it's honoring their transition with dignity. And even though it's a difficult time, knowing how to interpret these signs can bring more love, care, and understanding in the time that remains. In many cases, these signs don't appear all at once, nor do they follow an exact order. They arise little by little, in layers, and manifest uniquely in each person. Some people may present only 2 or 3 of them, but in such an intense way that they make it clear what's happening. Others demonstrate a subtle, almost imperceptible combination. The important thing is to observe with affection, without fear or judgment. It's not about predicting a date, but about respecting a process that's natural, even if difficult. When the family notices these changes, they can choose to act with more presence, more listening, and less haste. It's at this moment that coexistence transforms. Each gesture takes on another weight. A cup of coffee served, a slow conversation, or a touch on the shoulder gain value. And the person who is departing feels it. The soul recognizes the silent care, even when the words aren't spoken. Sylvia Browne also spoke about the role of intuition in this period. She said that the older person themselves often feels that they're living their last months. Some even verbalize this naturally, as if they're at peace with the idea. Others just demonstrate it with their actions. For example, they begin to organize documents, donations, or distribute personal belongings with affection, without anyone asking. This desire to leave everything in order is a strong indication that there's an internal awareness about the end. It's a sign that the person doesn't want to cause trouble. They just want to ensure that those who remain don't have to deal with unnecessary difficulties. Instead of denial or fear, what's perceived is a deep, almost silent care. When this type of behavior arises, it's essential that the family understands the message behind it. Not everything needs to be said with words. Another important point that Sylvia highlighted was emotional sensitivity. Many people in the last months of life become more emotional, cry more frequently, or demonstrate gratitude for small gestures. This isn't about sadness or instability. It's as if the soul is closer to a state of greater understanding, seeing life through a different lens. Small moments gain a different intensity. An unexpected visit, an old song, or a childhood memory is enough to move them deeply. This may seem strange to those who aren't attentive, but it's a common and meaningful phenomenon. Emotional presence intensifies, as if time has more value. It's important for family members to welcome these reactions with patience and without trying to contain them. This is a time for listening, not for correction. In parallel with this, there's a change in the perception of time. People who are living their last year tend to disconnect from calendars and commitments. The days seem less important, the dates lose their force. Sylvia explained that this change occurs because the spirit begins to disconnect from chronological time and begins to orient itself by sensations, by moments. That's why the present gains so much strength. A sunny day, a rainy afternoon, or a simple meal become complete experiences, without the worry of what comes next. This is a profound indication that something is changing, and although it seems subtle, it's one of the most consistent changes that appear in this phase. The spirit is no longer bound to time as before. The soul is preparing for another form of existence, where past and future don't have the same meaning they had in earthly life. Spiritual connection also tends to intensify during this period. Even people who have never talked about faith or religion begin to show interest in spiritual matters, ask questions about what exists after death, or seek to understand the meaning of everything they've lived. Sylvia said that this doesn't happen by chance. It's a natural opening of the soul, as if it's approaching its origin. Some people begin to meditate, others are moved by simple prayers, and some feel a greater presence around them. These moments should be respected, even when they aren't understood. They're legitimate expressions of a deeper contact with something that can't be seen but can be felt. Spirituality in this phase isn't doctrine, it's connection, and this connection can bring comfort, clarity, and even answers to questions that were never asked aloud. As much as these signs are observed with attention, it's important to remember that each person is unique. Not every older adult who goes through these changes is necessarily at the end, and not every end comes with such clear warnings. But knowing these possibilities allows us to be more sensitive, more present, and more human with those around us. The mission isn't to guess, but to care. And caring means being there, even when there isn't much to say. It means offering silence when necessary, and presence when the other is absent. Sylvia Browne left us this legacy: to observe the invisible, to respect what can't be controlled, and to accompany the other with compassion. Because in the end, more than avoiding death, what matters is how we choose to be alongside those we love, while life still pulses. And that's worth more than any rational explanation. It's common for family members to enter a state of denial when they perceive these signs. No one wants to accept that the end is near, especially when there are still moments of lucidity, smiles, and vivid memories happening. But denying what's before your eyes doesn't prevent the process from continuing. What Sylvia Browne proposed wasn't to anticipate farewells, but to transform the remaining time into something more genuine. When there's awareness of the moment, it's possible to create new memories, even if they're simple. A shared cup of tea, an old photograph commented on together, a short walk to the garden. Small moments that gain a different strength when you know that time is no longer guaranteed. Recognizing this is an act of courage, not weakness. It's looking at life with maturity and using each day as an opportunity to love better. Many people who experienced this last year report a strange feeling of having been in this place before. Sylvia mentioned that according to her visions, the soul has an ancient memory and recognizes moments of transition, even if the conscious mind can't explain it. This manifests itself in random phrases, feelings of déjà vu, or an unexpected calm in difficult situations. It's not uncommon for the person to say things like, "I've already done what I needed to do," or "I feel that everything is all right." These phrases don't come from a place of despair, but from acceptance. And although they may frighten those around them, they're actually demonstrations that something deeper is aligning. The soul, according to Sylvia, knows when it's completing its mission. And when that understanding comes from within, there's nothing to contest, only to accompany with respect and gratitude. In this process, the relationship with the body also changes. Often, there's less resistance to treatments, medications, or medical routines. The person seems to be more connected with what they feel and less concerned with what others expect them to do. Sylvia explained that the body and spirit begin to walk at different paces. While the body tries to maintain basic functions, the spirit is already on another frequency, more focused on detachment and introspection. Therefore, some decisions that once seemed urgent now cease to be important. The focus changes. This isn't about giving up, but about realignment. It's necessary to understand that not everything that is logical makes sense to someone who is going through such an intimate phase. The best response, often, is silent listening, support without demands, and care without impositions. Another point that Sylvia emphasized was the need to complete cycles. This may involve simple things like donating clothes, writing notes, or expressing feelings that have been kept inside. But it can also include more complex issues, such as forgiving, asking for forgiveness, or acknowledging mistakes of the past. Many people, even without knowing that they're near the end, feel an urgency to put their life in order. It's as if something inside them says that it's time to tidy up the house, not only in the physical sense, but emotionally. This impulse is valuable and should be respected. When the person demonstrates this type of intention, the family can help without interfering, only offering practical and emotional support. The feeling of duty fulfilled can bring relief and peace, both to those who leave and those who stay. It's a way of closing the cycle with dignity and serenity. As the months progress, it's possible to notice that the person's internal rhythm adjusts differently from the world around them. Sylvia said that it's as if inner time becomes slower, more spaced out, as if each day lengthens to allow more presence. This can be observed in simple gestures. The person spends more time looking out the window, listening to old songs, or just being silent. It's not discouragement, it's contemplation. It's the body giving space for the soul to finalize what it needs to. And this time, as silent as it may be, is deeply active. There's an internal movement happening, even when everything seems calm on the outside. Family members need to understand that these moments are necessary, that it's not about abandonment, but about retreat. And respecting this retreat is an act of true love. When these signs are perceived clearly, it's possible to transform the last months of life into something less painful and more meaningful. The presence of family members becomes more affectionate, the care more conscious, and time gains another value. Sylvia Browne always said that the end of life shouldn't be seen as a tragic closure, but as a sacred crossing. A passage where everything that has been lived gains weight, meaning, and importance. And when this moment is lived with respect, it can be as transformative as any other phase of existence. It's not about waiting for the end, but about living the present with truth. Each farewell can be a celebration. Each silence can be an embrace. And each day can be a new chance to show love to those who are still by our side, even if for a short time. In this context, it's essential that family members abandon the idea that they need to keep everything normal all the time. Normality at this moment isn't maintaining the routine as if nothing were happening. It's accepting that there's something different in the air and that this calls for another type of attention. Sylvia Browne reinforced that active listening is one of the greatest forms of love. Listening patiently without trying to correct or minimize can be a balm for those who are preparing to depart. Sometimes the person doesn't want advice, they just want someone to be there wholly listening with an open heart. This doesn't require grand gestures or elaborate words, it requires presence. And that presence is worth more than any explanation. When someone is facing the end, what comforts them most isn't what's said, but what's demonstrated with a look, a touch, and an embracing silence. Another important aspect is the emotional preparation of those who accompany this process. It's difficult to accept that someone we love may be living their last months, but the more we deny it, the harder it becomes to deal with reality. Sylvia taught that true love isn't what holds on, but what sets free. Hand-freeing, in this case, is being willing to accompany the other as far as possible, without demanding that they stay here for us. When we understand this, we can be more generous. We begin to value the moments without suffocating with expectations. The farewell, when it comes, becomes lighter, not because there's no pain, but because there was presence. And that presence, sustained with awareness, transforms suffering into affectionate memory. Death ceases to be a violent break and becomes a natural cycle that ends with dignity. Sylvia Browne's vision also invites us to look at our own future with more serenity. By understanding these signs, we not only recognize the end in the lives of others, but also prepare ourselves better for our own time. Understanding the end of life isn't surrendering to fear. It's opening ourselves to the understanding that everything has its moment, and that the value of existence lies in how we choose to live while we have time. This teaches us to say what we feel, to forgive more lightly, to listen more attentively, and to care more deeply. Each of us at some point will be on the other side of this conversation. And when that day comes, perhaps what we'll most desire is that someone sees us for real, listens to us calmly, and accompanies us with respect, just as today we can do for someone we love. That's why talking about these signs shouldn't be taboo. The more we open ourselves to this type of conversation, the more prepared we'll be to deal with the end in a humane way. Older adults often don't have anyone to share these feelings with and end up suffering in silence. By recognizing the signs, we open a bridge of dialogue that can make all the difference. We create space for the other to speak, ask questions, express their concerns, and above all, to feel heard. Listening at this moment is a form of care. It's a way of saying, I'm here with you until the end. We don't need to understand everything. We don't need to have all the answers. We just need to be present, attentive, and willing to respect each stage of the journey, even when it seems difficult or unknown. Sylvia Browne left us a valuable legacy by treating life and death with naturalness and depth. Her observations aren't rules, but reflections that help to illuminate dark paths. Each person will have their way of departing, their time, and their signs. But knowing these possibilities makes us more human. It allows us to accompany with more empathy, more patience, and more love. A person's last year can indeed be a difficult period, but it can also be a phase of reconciliation, healing, and conscious farewells. It's possible to transform pain into learning and silence into presence. Everything depends on how we choose to react to what life presents us. And when we accept that death is just a part of existence, we begin to value even more the moments we have alongside those we love. If this content touched your heart, and you believe it can help others better understand this delicate moment, please share this video with someone who needs to hear this. And if you aren't already subscribed, please join us. Here we talk with respect, listening and care about what many avoid, but what all of us one day will face. May you live each day with more awareness, presence, and love.